Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. I'm going to explain to you exactly why, within the indictments, Durham explains that indeed Trump was being, or let's just put it this way, there was surveillance of Trump and his campaign prior to him becoming president or at least moving into the Oval Office. It's on page 9 of the indictment of Michael Sussman. So all you have to do is go to page 9 and read this paragraph. On or about August 15th, employees of Internet Company 2, acting at the request of Internet Company 3, found their holdings of non-public Internet data against a lengthy list of more than 9,000 IP addresses, 3,000 Internet domains, and 60 email addresses and domains that related or referred to Trump, the Trump Organization, the aforementioned Trump Associates, and or Russian bank, i.e. the bank that was subject to the allegations that Sussman later conveyed to the Bureau General Counsel. During the same time period, employees of Internet Company 3 also drafted and provided to Tech Company Executive 1 a written paper reflecting in substance some of the same technical observations contained in the Russian Bank 1 allegations that Sussman later conveyed to the Bureau. Also in or around the same time period and in connection with Tech Executives 1's joint effort with Sussman, Tech Executive 1 similarly asked Originator 1 and two computer researchers, Researcher 1 and Researcher 2, who worked at a U.S.-based university to search broadly through internet data for any information about Trump's potential ties to Russia. In connection with this tasking, and as alleged in further detail below, Tech Executive 1's goal was to support an inference and narrative regarding Trump that would please certain VIPs. They were supposed to support a quote-unquote inference and narrative regarding Trump that would please certain VIPs. Obviously, Madam Secretary. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below. To my super chat, I can't thank you enough. If you want to support my work, ladies and gentlemen, your super chat is greatly appreciated. Now, Vanity Fair, Washington Post, MSNBC, Joe Scarborough, they have not read the indictment, and unless they are given a note. So, by the way, to my super chat, thank you again. I can't do this without you. And Eric and Luke, thank you to the two greatest moderators in all of YouTube. Thank you. Unless Joe Scarborough is given a note signed by Hillary Clinton saying, I, Madam Secretary, tried with all my, every fiber of my being to set up and frame Trump, hiring tech companies and tech executives, or working with tech executives and hiring attorneys and pumping fake, false, absurd stories and myths and hoaxes into media, and having media and intelligence operatives utilize that information to begin investigating Trump based on lies and baseless claims, I hereby admit that everything that Durham is doing pertains to me setting up and framing Trump, signed Madam Secretary and the Democratic Party. It's never going to happen. You're never going to get an admission. What you're going to find out is what we're reading here. Also in or around the same time period, and in connection with Tech Executive 1's efforts with Sussman, Tech Executive 1 similarly asked Originator 1 and two computer researchers, Researcher 1 and Researcher 2, who worked at a U.S.-based university to search broadly through internet data for any information about Trump's potential ties to Russia. So they created the myth, and then they want to further the myth with more false, defamatory, completely fabricated inferences and narratives. In connection with this tasking, and as alleged in further detail below, Tech Executive One's goal was to support an inference and narrative regarding Trump that would please certain VIPs. Now, when you get nonsense about news and information that you should be able to trust, what they're trying to tell you is only accept lies by omission. When they say, well, Clinton never spied on Trump. No, she didn't hide under a desk and listen in on his phone conversations. Other than that, through a digital perspective, she definitely did. Moreover, and as alleged below, Tech Executive One provided information that he gathered through these interactions to his lawyer Sussman, so that Sussman could assist in drafting and disseminating materials to media and the FBI. Joe Scarborough never asks why Sussman would want to disseminate information to media. If he's just doing his patriotic duty and saving the country, why would he want to also share the information with media? Because the more information that was pumped into media, these are all lies by omission. They did not want, they needed an excuse for Trump defeating Clinton. And the excuse was, well, he was installed by the Kremlin. The absurd narrative was the DNC emails were hacked by Russia because they wanted Trump. Not that the DNC was cheating Bernie Sanders. The DNC emails, by the way, nobody in the U.S. government ever looked at DNC servers. Those servers weren't even given to the tech company that the DNC outsourced. The DNC outsourced a tech company to look at the servers. And they were given copies of the servers. And they're not even sure what happened. So we have no evidence. The United States government has never indicted any intelligence officials for hacking the DNC on evidence obtained by the United States government. They never looked at DNC servers. The DNC servers were looked at and investigated apparently by a company that was paid by the DNC, just like Sussman was paid by the Clinton campaign. You're getting information. It's not difficult to deceive government officials or journalists in media who definitely have a bias and an animus or contempt for Trump. This is not rocket science. If I'm working with you, if I'm working with David or Eric or anyone here at a company, and we're in the same department, and I feed information to the company newsletter, and I say, Eric and David were working for Russia, and that's why, the company didn't make enough profit last year. And then they publish that in the company newsletter, and then I get promoted, and then David and Eric get demoted. Well, I've just manipulated the system. It's not that difficult. What they did was promulgate stories just to ensure that suspicion, their main goal, ladies and gentlemen, was suspicion. They don't care about the evidence. They don't care about the evidence. The evidence is not important to morally superior liberal Democrats. The evidence is not important. And I apologize, but just, the YouTube algorithm, I have to be careful. But the evidence is not important. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, David. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is creating suspicion and trying to stifle any suspicion against Biden. Nina, thank you. So when Biden actually forced out a prosecutor and then threatened to withhold $1 billion, and within the story, he says, well, the Ukrainians said you have no authority. And I said, oh yeah, call President Obama. Within that story that he's boasting and bragging about, Ukrainian officials actually state, hey, you don't have the authority to do that. They actually tell him, you don't have the authority to do that. And then when Trump speaks to Zelensky on a phone call, there's an ellipsis. And from that ellipsis, they impeach Trump. Even though Ukraine got lethal aid. And guess who didn't send lethal aid? President Obama. So you have a situation where suspicion, if you're suspicious of Trump, if you find him untrustworthy, if you're suspicious, if you think that he's so deceitful that he's capable of anything and you'll believe anything that's said about him, then Democrats have won. Media have won. But if you're suspicious of Clinton and you actually find out that she literally paid people in a manner that media and Democrats would never allow Trump to get away with, but if you find out that Clinton actually paid people, attorneys, tech executives working alongside them, to gather as much data as possible and compile the data and form some kind of absurd story or narrative. It's obvious they can't accept the truth, because if they accepted the truth, then they would be the bad guys. Then they would be the epicenter of corruption. Like I said, 20 years ago, the epicenter of corruption was the Republican Party. That was the epicenter of corruption. The epicenter of corruption now has been the Democratic Party for a while. At least 5-6 years now, 7 years now. And they have media today. When you look at drafting and disseminating materials to the media today is all about a lie by omission, because they want to further the ambitions of one political side. They do not want to show you the vantage point of a conservative in any country, whether it's Canada, the U.S., or the U.K. You will not get from the BBC or the Guardian or British publications the vantage point of people who pushed for Brexit. You will rarely get that vantage point. You'll get the vantage point of, oh my God, how horrible this is. So you're not going to get the vantage point. Like President Trump, in a way, it's good that he's outspoken, but in another way, he's so outspoken that he allows media. Sometimes he pushes the envelope to a point where it actually helps media. It assists media in trying to silence him. So they'll say, oh, look, he pushed for a certain type of punishment. But really the story isn't about that, and he didn't call for that. Anyone who says, there's going to be a certain point where their apoplectic, hysterical coverage of Trump does them, there are diminishing returns. There are diminishing returns on how they cover Trump. For the past 5 years, when Clinton first lost, they needed that scapegoat, whether it was Russia or Trump being installed by Russia or the Mueller probe. They needed the belief that his tax returns would do him in. Then they needed the belief that, in between then, that Stormy would do him in, or Michael Avenatti. And then now you see Chris Cuomo and Andrew Cuomo and Michael Avenatti and all of these people, they're all disgraced. And who's left standing? Trump. Clinton is also. Clinton's running again, people. You watch. I'll be vindicated eventually. Eventually, I'll be vindicated. We're going to repeat 2016 because we've never left 2016. So at the time of these exchanges, in or about August 2016, a federal government agency was in the process of finalizing but had not yet signed a cybersecurity research contract with University One. The primary purchase of Agency One contract for University One researchers to receive and analyze large quantities of public and non-public data from various internet companies in order to identify the perpetrators of malicious cyber attacks and protect U.S. national security. Then what they did was they utilized information from a government. They utilized their abilities, their capacity. The purpose of providing internet companies One's data to University One during this period was to enable researchers who worked under Agency One contract to protect U.S. networks. From in or about July 2016 through at least in or about February 2017, however, Originator 1, Researcher 1, and Researcher 2 also exploited internet company One's data and other data to assist Tech Executive One in his effort to conduct research concerning Trump's potential ties to Russia. Trump never had any potential ties to Russia. That's the point. That's the point. With these indictments, the entire point is that there was a narrative, a story, a fantasy that was created, that was fabricated. This isn't like rocket science. Everyone knows this. What people don't want to accept, whether it's Washington Post, Vanity Fair, MSNBC, is that the information gathered against Trump was gathered for a political purpose. There was a political motive. And from the Bernie Sanders days, when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, I saw everything they did to Bernie Sanders, and I saw them step up and act in a more belligerent, despicable manner with Trump. Everything they tried out on Bernie, they used against Trump and more. Well, I mean, Bernie Sanders is the reason, in many ways, why we have such a dysfunctional political climate. He never addressed that he was cheated. Bernie Sanders never addressed the fact that he was cheated. He never addressed the fact that he was cheated, that they accused him of being the preferred candidate in the DNC primary of the Kremlin. He never acknowledged any of these things, and then he even apologized. I mean, you couldn't find, and then if the rationale was, well, I want to make sure I got Medicare for all, they didn't give him anything. So here's a man in the DNC emails that he won't even address. Like, Bernie Sanders is a good human being, I'm sure, and I'm sure he's a good human being, good father, good grandfather. I'm sure he's idealistic, and so in terms of character, I'm sure he's a good human being. But what kind of man, what kind of human being, what kind of woman is treated in that manner by anybody or by let's say a political party? You are actually cheated, and emails show that you have been lied to, and millions upon millions of people believed in you, and you took that trust, and then you wielded that trust. You found a way to funnel all of that money and that trust and that faith back into the same political party that cheated you, while at the same time allowing that political party to promise the world, to promise your voters that one day they'll get Medicare for all and a Green New Deal and banning fracking and ending the filibuster and packing the courts and abolishing student loan debt, and then you catapult AOC, and then you have other progressives in Congress, and they all know very well that Democrats will never in a million years allow them to implement any of their policies within laws. So Bernie Sanders is part of a gigantic racket. And it's like, it's like, here, I'll make the font bigger. Actually, now it's too big for me even. Um, this is really like, at a certain point, it's not like only Clinton, because without Bernie Sanders, had Bernie Sanders actually fought back and acknowledged that he was cheated, had he simply stated, look, I was cheated, had he showed the integrity to say, I'm not going to apologize for Russia wanting me to win, because he never knew if Russia wanted him to win. You simply have clandestine intel agencies who lie for a living, say that, well, Russia wants Trump to win, Russia wants Bernie to win, Russia is grooming Tulsi Gabbard. You just blame Russia for everything. And then Russia invades Ukraine under your watch. It's like at a certain point, maybe, just maybe, you're utilizing Cold War hysteria to make up for the fact that your political party is so utterly corrupt. So, Robert, I think you're right. So here you have, they are manipulating media who are all willing participants. They're manipulating intel agencies who are all willing participants. And the people that they cheat and undermine, whether it's Bernie Sanders or, their Democratic voters, they just fall in line. And the only one who fights back is Trump. But see, God bless Donald J. Trump. Had he not pushed the envelope so much, it would have been easier for him. It would have been easier for him had he been a tiny bit more diplomatic. It would have been easier for him. And so, yes, he needed to fight back. JR, hello. He needed to fight back, but in a way he made their attempts at framing him a bit easier. But here, the purpose of providing, and this is right here, it's right here. The purpose of providing Internet Company One's data to University One during this time period was to enable researchers who worked under Agency One contract to protect U.S. networks from cyber attacks. From in or about July 2016 through at least in or about February 2017, however, Originator 1, Researcher 1, and Researcher 2 also exploited Internet Company One's data and other data to assist Tech Executive 1 in his efforts to conduct research concerning Trump's potential ties to Russia, including Russia Bank, and allegations that Sussman would later convey to the FBI. Then you have them backtracking and admitting they can't find anything on Trump. So on or about August 20th, 2016, Originator 1 emailed Tech Executive 1, Researcher 1, and Researcher 2, stating among other things that even if we found what Tech Executive 1 asked us to find in DNS, we don't see the money flow and we don't see the content of some messages saying send money here. Originator 1 explained that it would be possible to, quote, fill out a sales form on 2 websites, faking the other company's email address in each form, and thereby cause them to appear to communicate with each other in DNS. They are literally fabricating information. They're fabricating information about Trump. And they're giving this information to intel agencies. The goal is to just set up and frame Trump. That's what the goal is. It's not difficult to understand. The problem is that media, they did not read the indictment. They didn't read the indictment. So here, Originator 1 then explained that it would be possible to fill out a sales form on 2 websites, faking the other company's email address in each form, and thereby cause them to appear to communicate with each other in DNS. Originator 1 then concluded, if Tech Executive 1 can take the inference we gain through this team exercise, then work to develop an inference may be worthwhile. It's not just the case that you can rest assured that Hillary's opposition research and whatever professional government and investigative journalists are also finding will come up with the same thing. The media was in on it in addition to government agents. I mean, it's not, we knew this. I was writing about this years back in the Federalist. Rush Limbaugh shared one of my articles twice on his radio show. I was writing about this. Diego, hello. I was writing about this years back, so we know of all of this. On or about the same day, Tech Executive 1 clarified in an email to Originator 1, Researcher 1, and Researcher 2 that the task had given them, the task he had given them was indeed broad, and further stated, this is interesting. I mean, they're desperate to find something on Trump. Being able to provide evidence of anything that shows an attempt to behave badly in relationship, the VIPs would be happy. They're looking for a true story that could be used as the basis for closer examination. That's called a lie. That's not only manipulative and deceitful, it's a lie by omission. They want to investigate Trump. Ebrey! Starting it off. Thank you, Ebrey! Thank you, Ebrey. Hope all is well. Thank you. Eric, thank you. Ebrey, thank you. Eric, thank you. They want something that they can give media to investigate Trump. They are desperate. They're desperate to find anything because in 30 years in public life, they can't find anything apparently. Ebrey, thank you. They can't find anything. I mean, you have Donald Trump has been in public life since the 80s. There was like an 1984, 85, 2020 interview, famous interview with Donna and Ivana Trump. What's his wife's name? With Donald Trump and his wife. And there was an interview in the mid 80s. Hold on one second. Let's see. With Barbara Walters. And they're so interested, by the way, in Trump lying, but all they do is lie. So when Trump, like, his lies are generally, hyperbolic. He'll make a statement that is perhaps exaggerated. Their lies are, oh, you worked with Russia and we have the evidence. I mean, that's a pretty grandiose lie. Their lies are, oh, we had top secret intelligence on servers, but it was an accident. So hold on one second. Let's see. What is the 80s? It was an interview with, let's see. Ivana Trump. So he was in public eye since the 1980s, and they couldn't find anything on the man. They couldn't find anything on him. Bill, remember? I think I might have seen it live when I was a kid. CMW! Good spirits, thank you. CMW, thank you. Keep digging, exposing the truth. My little corner of the world appreciates your research and dedication. I appreciate your continual support. My goodness, CMW. It's just always so. I appreciate your support always. And it's so kind of you. And it's greatly, greatly appreciated. I couldn't do the live streams without you and the super chat. CMW, thank you so much. Always. Always for your support. Good spirits, thank you as well. CMW, thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. So they couldn't find anything on Trump. And what did they do? Like, this is the interesting thing. We have inflation out of control. And you have less indignation from Democrats. Like, I remember trying to debate friends of mine or bringing it up. I'm like, yeah, we have a great economy. This was like in 2019, 2018, 2019. And all I heard was, oh yeah, deficits and real wages. And every rebuttal, like their rebuttal, what they were saying, it's actually like worse now. The economic indicators they would bring up are far worse now. Inflation, like real wages, people have lost about 2% on their paycheck. People, okay, you have to understand something. They're such ideologues. People on the left or people who don't like Trump generally are such ideologues. They'd rather have runaway inflation than have Trump preside over a good economy. They'd rather have runaway inflation. They'd rather have crime through the roof. They'd rather have Russia invading Ukraine than have Trump tweeting or Trump in the Oval Office. Because Trump represents one thing, a loss of political power. That's it. They just care about political power. They don't care about the country. When they talk about democracy, they're using democracy as a synonym for Democratic Party. They've redefined democracy as whatever is good for the Democratic Party. And then they trick themselves into thinking that, Bill Kristol or Kinzinger or Cheney are the good Republicans. But Bill Kristol and the Lincoln Project were against marriage equality. And then they pushed for Iraq and Afghanistan. They were the Bush neoconservatives, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld foreign policy that caused so much devastation and suffering and depression and lives ruined. They're the ones, like, and Trump is like the antithesis of all of that. He is not that. That's not what Trump is about. CMW, thank you so much. It's not what Trump is about. Trump is like the opposite of that. President Trump focused on two things: the economy. He tried to focus on immigration, but he did exactly what Republicans wanted to do, and of course, he got no support. And now you have Biden doing the same things, and even worse from a liberal perspective. But again, you have to understand the majority of morally superior liberal Democrats really don't know much about politics. They know, a little bit. If they read the Washington Post or the New York Times and watch CNN or MSNBC, they think they know about politics. They think they know a lot about the world or about Trump or about, the Democratic Party. What really they don't understand is that, like, a person like myself, I come from that world. I know it's such a racket. I didn't jump, by the way, into the Republican Party world because I know the Republican Party. You still have people like Paul Ryan. Ted Cruz goes back and forth. I mean, Ted Cruz, one day he's populist, one day he's a traditional Republican. So I'm not enamored with any political party. I like most Trump Republicans because they're populist and they focus on economic issues and they focus on a less militant, less hawkish foreign policy than liberal Democrats. Rand Paul, for example, Ron Johnson, far more rational and logical than senators or or representatives or governors in the Democratic Party who will say one thing and do another, simply to look good in the eyes of media. That's all. They're all about public relations. That's it. That's it. They only care about public relations. But this is, like I say, I keep saying, it's a fleeting moment. This is a fleeting moment in American history. You're not always going to get, oh Lord, every time we're approaching 500 viewers, people get kicked off. But if you get kicked off, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and um, log back on. CMW, thank you again. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a fleeting moment in American history. You're not always going to get, like I keep saying, unfortunately, we're going to have a devastating financial catastrophe because of Democratic policies. And sorry about getting kicked off. We were almost at 500 viewers, ladies and gentlemen. It's terrible. But you have to understand, I mean, look at the world, like look what's taking place. Where is media blaming Biden for being a Putin puppet? Where is media blaming Democrats? I mean, this is like it's really interesting how they get away with so much. They're able to level baseless allegations, and when when the exact opposite takes place, when the exact opposite of what their propaganda, when the exact opposite takes place, proving that their propaganda was complete nonsense from the very beginning, like you would think Russia would invade Ukraine under Trump's tenure. Wouldn't you? If he was a Putin puppet, wouldn't you think that Russia would invade? Eric, I agree. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time. I agree, though. Why is this happening under mashed potato brains? Why is here? I mean, you have the latest on the Ukraine-Russia border crisis. Russia and Ukraine. Citing intelligence, Biden says Putin has decided to invade Ukraine. What is the point? Can somebody explain to me? We have inflation through the roof. We have supply chain problems. We have consumer sentiment at decade low. Oil prices are approaching $100. Fossil fuels are at record highs, with oil and natural gas, coal. So the producer price index, the consumer price index are all at 40-year highs, something like the CPI is at a 40-year high. Consumer price index, I think, is like a 15-year high. You have all of these economic problems. We're heading into a recession. The revised GDP growth for first quarter 2022 is something like 0.1% or less than 1%, something like that. What is it? Let's see. Let's see. So 1.3%. It was 0.1%. Now it's 1.3%. It'll probably get down lower to towards 0.1%. This is a year after we're supposed to have had a full economic recovery. The GDP Now model estimate for real GDP growth in the first quarter of 2022 is 1.3%, down from 1.5%. It was 0.1%. The Now forecast first quarter real residential investment growth decreased from 4.7% to 0.3%. So, and if we have negative growth 2 straight quarters, it's official recession. But we're going to see a devastating stock market crash, which is what I predicted, which we're seeing in slow motion. We're seeing that in slow motion. I mean, we're seeing all of this in slow motion. All of these estimates for gross domestic product have been revised downward. So you have, I mean, the stock market, I mean, you could just look. It is going to tank even further. And I said in October, 36,799 in the beginning of the year. Now it's at 34,000. Okay, it shed 2,000 points. And I've been telling you every single day since October when it was around 36,000. Let's see, in October, around 35, November, 36. So I wrote in October that the whole thing's going to tank. You could see March 4th, 2021 was at 30,000. This thing's going to easily get to 30,000 in about a month, 2 months. You just lost 2,000 points in a month. It's only going to get worse because corporate profits, once inflation hits, because consumers still have money from stimulus checks, or the stimulus, there was enough stimulus pumped into the economy, let's say, to shield a lot of consumers from inflation, but everyone sees it. Everyone sees inflation. So everyone feels it. Rent is through the roof. I mean, everyone sees this. So that's not true. I did do a video. I did do one video. But like what do you expect me to do? Get like I don't want to get demonetized. I gave my thoughts on definitely gave my thoughts on the Freedom Convoy and what's taking place in Canada. There's no doubt I side with and I support the people peacefully demonstrating, and I'm out. Like, it's terrible what's taking place. There's no doubt. I already did a video on that. Here's the video, or you can look at it. It's basically a video on a couple weeks, like a week and a half ago. You can look at the channel, but I'm not in the business of trying to just always get like. Here's the thing. I'm trying to ensure that I can speak about things I'm passionate about and still have a functioning channel. It is not my fault. It's like I can't stand it is not my fault that I can't speak about every topic I want to speak about. Okay? That's not, this is what I do. I need to have the channel functioning. It's not my fault that um, whether it's media or whatever, we can go into exactly why the topics are demonetized. But I did talk about it actually numerous times. I talked about GoFundMe several times, and I talked about what's taken place with the GoFundMe and the demonstrators and truckers in Canada. So that's not true. But anyway, it's like it's like we can talk about the Durham probe, and you're still going to have your channel. But again, it's like throughout the years, I've spoken about a whole bunch of topics that a lot of people don't talk about. And I've told people not to believe certain things that people believed. And I was right over the years. I can't fight every single battle because it's like you just can't fight every single battle. There's only a certain amount of videos you can do every day. You could probably do 3 to 5 videos every single day. And get notified for 2 or 3 of them. Okay? And when I do a video giving my thoughts, nobody watches it, or very few people watch it. So it's not like it, but I did give my thoughts on that. Anyway. Thank you, June. Thank you. Anyway, getting back to, it would be nice to be able to speak about any topic you want. Unfortunately, I would like to focus on topics that I'm passionate about that I can still talk about without getting demonetized. So the Durham Probe Special Counsel is a special counsel. I did talk about the demonstrations in Canada. I did give my very clear and concise viewpoint on that, which resonates with everyone's viewpoint here. And I talked about the double standard, but it's like, then the response, like, from friends of mine, go on Rumble, go on Odyssey, but you can't have a functioning, like, you're not making any, you can't make a living on Rumble or Odyssey. So without discussing the issues in too great a detail, I would much rather be focused on topics that people are passionate about, that I'm passionate about, or at least focused. What I mean by focused, like, doing a lot of videos on the special counsel. Anyway, there's a whole lot of things that I can't really discuss or talk about or like explain. I can't explain myself in the manner that I want to, but it's like, oh, dude, you can look at my history on my writing and on YouTube, and you could see like I've taken so much heat over the years for a lot of different things, which history proved that I was right on. But anyway, CMW. Thank you so much, CMW. Thank you. My goodness. YouTube's fading. Lots of fun early on. Still laughing about bobbleheads. Thank you. Jeff Session phone company. But time, show your talents elsewhere. Time equals money. Yes. Take your time. The money will follow. May God continue to bless you. Thank you, CMW. I agree with you. I mean, CMW, I am going to, once I get to 200,000 CMW, you will see, I will definitely go to 200,000 members. June, thank you so very much for becoming CMW. So kind of you. So kind of you. I agree with you. And I'm going to go and I agree with Eric and I agree with everybody. I'm going to go, once I hit 200,000, I will be able to, I think in my mind, say, hey, I have 200,000 viewers on YouTube. Join me on Rumble. It's just in my mind, for whatever the reason is, CMW, maybe it's psychological. If I say like I have 192,000 viewers on YouTube, it's not 200,000 yet. You know what I mean? Once I get the 200,000 viewers, I'm definitely going to, if Rumble, I believe you can live stream on Rumble. Is that correct? Eric, is that correct? So, and Odyssey. So I think that I'll be doing a lot more. Thank you, CMW. Thank you so very much. I agree with you. I think that that's so kind of you. And it's always, your support is greatly appreciated. I think CMW, as I beg and thank you for super chat money, and as I beg everyone for support, save. I urge everybody. And this is, I guess, if you want to say, one of the good reasons to watch my channel or listen to my thoughts on a lot of topics. We are going to enter a very, very terrible economic collapse. CMW, thank you so much. And I think that once I hit 200,000, which will be hopefully soon, a couple months, who knows, 3-4 months, who knows, 5 months, I don't know. Maybe a month, I don't know. I will definitely branch out, and I appreciate your support, and I appreciate Eric's support, and I appreciate everyone's support, and I appreciate the critique. Joey. But it's sometimes it gets cold. CMW, thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated. I think that we're going to have a devastating financial crisis, CMW. We're seeing it right now. But I think that every month, make sure you have enough cash. I'm not saying stuff money in your mattress. That's definitely not what I'm saying. And thank you so very much, CMW. But I think that Michigan Grandma, thank you. Alberto, just you watching, I'm thankful for. Alberto, thank you so very much. Just you watching, I'm thankful for. Michigan Grandma, thank you. CMW, so kind of you as always. I cannot thank you enough. Michigan Grandma, thank you. Yeah, .com, I agree with you. Sticks has the right approach. And when I watch him, I say to myself, God, why aren't you doing that? And once I get to 200,000, and if I get to 200,000 and I don't start doing it, you can just make fun of me as much as you want. I know Eric will. You can just remind me. You said 200,000. You'd branch out. But I will. Michigan Grandma, so kind of you. CMW, so kind of you. Jenny, thank you. June, thank you so very, very much. I just think, CMW, we have, people have called me worse than the word schmuck, so I can be a schmuck sometimes. But look at Jeremy Grantham, CMW, as I thank everybody and beg everybody for Super Chat. Save your money every month, people. Save your money every month. Make sure you can save $50, $100, $1,000, $500, $1,000 every single month. Don't stuff money in your mattress. I think you should have a savings account or checking account that you could put the money in. This is what I'm saying. I know that there's the inflation, but there's also deflation. You can get things half off, unfortunately, because there's going to be companies that go out of business. But make sure also you have some cash if ATMs stop working. You have enough cash for a couple of days or a week or 2 weeks. And Jeremy Grantham said the end of the bubble extravaganza. Bubble extravaganza! CMW, Michigan Grandma, thank you so much. Bubble extravaganza is coming. Calls for stocks to drop 45%. So unfortunately, I've been saying the same thing. Obviously, he's a trillion times more knowledgeable than I am. But in October, I was published in the Federalist. I've been telling everybody I have the stock market crash channel. That again, see, I need to actually build that channel also. I need to do a lot of things, just so I have to wrap my brain around it. But the one thing I have a handle on, unfortunately, is that the sky is falling. They call it doom and gloom. What do they say? Doom. I forgot the acronym. But CMW, Michigan Grandma stocks, 45% drop. I think that the Dow, and then who knows where the NASDAQ is going to be. You tell me. I think the NASDAQ will drop. I have no clue where the NASDAQ will be, but you tell me. CMW, Michigan Grandma, everyone here. Eric, everyone here. Where do you think the NASDAQ is going to be? Where do you think the NASDAQ is going to be? Because it ain't going to be where it is now. It's getting pummeled. And I think eventually the Dow will hit 20,000. When that takes place, where was the NASDAQ in? So it's set. So the NASDAQ could very well get to 9,000, 8,000, 9,000. It could even get to maybe 7,000, 8,000. I mean, because if corporate profits decline to around where they were 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, which is possible, or they don't grow fast enough to justify their valuations, and you have inflation through the roof, and you have geopolitical problems, and you have oil. Let's say corporate profits don't get to their March 2020 levels, but you have oil at over $150 per barrel. Well, if you have oil at $150 per barrel, then that's going to affect future profits and the valuations and interest rates. When interest rates go up, that's going to affect the stock market valuations. They go up to over 2% eventually. Maybe this year it'll get close to 2%. Who knows? If they don't raise interest rates enough, then inflation will tank the stock market. If they don't raise interest rates enough, then inflation will tank the stock market. If they raise interest rates to the point that is needed, then they're going to tank the stock market. So either way, stocks are going to tank. Either way. Either way, either way, stocks are going to tank. Either way, stocks are going to tank. So, so that is once the stock market tanks. I mean, if you have, I mean, forget about me because I'm not. Forget about me because what do I know? I just I look at things and I wrote about it and have the stock market crash channel and I look. I mean, the Democratic Party has tanked this country financially for the next 10 years. For the next 5 to 10 years, shutting down economic activity was um, was the reason. That was the reason. Jeremy Grantham says the end of the bubble extravaganza is coming. Calls for stocks to drop 45%. Of course, of course, of course. CMW, Michigan, Grandma, Eric, everybody here. Of course. Sounds like one of those DSL things. So here, let's see, 45%. Jeremy Grantham forecasts 45% decline in S&P, and that would get to the Dow close to 20,000, and Nasdaq, who knows, 7, 8,000, 9,000. So, David, I'm listening to him. Jeremy Grantham, the famed investor known for where did it go? What's going on? What's going on here? Jeremy Grantham, famed investor known for calling market bubbles, has said that a historic collapse in stocks he predicted a year ago is now underway, and that the benchmark S&P 500 index could decline by 45% this year. Grantham, the co-founder of Boston Asset Management (GMO), describes U.S. stocks as being in a super bubble, only the fourth such bubble in the last century, and just as they did in the crash of 1929, the dot-com bust of 2000, the financial crisis of 2008, he's certain the bubble will burst, sending indices back to statistical norms. Grantham forecasts the S&P will drop by 45% to a level of 2,500 this year. If that happens, and that I hope I don't hope it will, but I hope Republicans. I mean, they will get the House and Senate. If that happens, though, because I think that the market's going to crash. I don't know if it gets to 2,500. If it happens, Trump could do a you-know-what video with Putin, and he'd still get the Oval Office over any Democrat. People are not going to they're going to see that this is happening under mashed potato brains, and they're going to realize that it was the fault of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party did this. The Democratic Party did this. It was the fault of the Democratic Party. You cannot, this is the reason we have inflation. We had less than 2% inflation in 2019. It's 7.5, really going to 10% soon, at least in the way they calculate the statistics. So I mean, it's just a matter of time. CMW, thank you so much. Michigan Grandma, always so sweet of you, so kind of you, Michigan Grandma. I hope all is well. I hope all is well, Michigan Grandma. The first sign of trouble, Grantham, points to come last February when dozens of the most speculative stocks began falling. One proxy, Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation, has since fallen 50%, 52%. Next, the Russell 2000, an index of mid-cap equities that typically outperforms in a bull market, trailed the S&P 500 in 2021. Finally, there was what Grantham calls the kind of crazy investor behavior indicative of late-stage bubbles, meme stocks, and buying frenzy in electric vehicle stocks, the rise of cryptocurrencies, and multi-billion-dollar prices for non-fungible tokens. So, Babylon Times, exactly. Ricardo, hello. I think that you're going to see, it's interesting. I was talking to my cousin about this, and he's very right. He's like, well, what is the catalyst? What's the catalyst? And, I don't know if Russia-Ukraine will be the catalyst, but it could be a hedge fund that goes under. CMW, Michigan Grandma, everybody here. It could be a hedge fund that goes under. Now, if you had the canary in the coal mine was $20 billion margin call. So Archegos had a $20 billion margin call. And that was in 2021, sorry. That was in 2021. Sorry, $30 billion margin call. What am I saying? What's $10 billion among friends? $30 billion margin call. You have a $30 billion margin call, meaning all your stocks go bye-bye if you don't find $30 billion. So that happened. That happened last year. And I mean, that's the type of thing that could be the catalyst. Derivatives, you could have a whole bunch of derivatives contracts that we haven't even heard of yet. I mean, nobody was talking about credit default swaps before 2008. I mean, you can have even if 2 or 3 hedge funds go bankrupt, and you had the GameStop debacle. But you also had. Thank you, Roger. You also had like I said, the GameStop debacle and Archegos. Hold on. So that hedge fund requires bailout after Reddit users cause. Okay, so they got a $2.8 billion bailout. Melvin Capital, $2.8 billion bailout. Archegos, $30 billion margin call. And these are like, you're not really looking at, this is not like, the 2008 financial collapse, but these are, this could be the type of thing that causes the catalyst for a devastating financial catastrophe. Because if you have all of these hedge funds and institutional investors investing in risky stocks. Well, or no, risky derivatives trades. Then you're going to have bailouts, and banks will be losing billions also. And so those are just two Melvin Capital and Archegos were just two hedge funds last year. That's when the market was going up. That's when the market was going up. Okay? That's when the market was going up. It just took Reddit to tank one hedge fund. It took a Viacom stock price to go down to tank another hedge fund. I mean, it doesn't take much. My God, it doesn't take much. So, I mean, it doesn't take much. So, I mean, you look and it's like, what have we been focusing on? If you type in, so I was going to talk about, if you type in Washington Post, Trump Russia collusion, look at all the nonsense. Even if Steele's dossier is credited, there's plenty of discredited, there's plenty of collusion. Washington Post corrects, removes 2 stories on the collusion. No collusion after all? What counts as Trump-Russia collusion? This is supposed to be news that we should trust. We need to trust this news. Are you kidding me? The strongest evidence yet of Trump's ongoing, so the government finally connects the line of Trump, so it's just always nonsense. And then the right's embrace the false claim that what is the Washington Post? Oh, does the Washington Post ever write an article on the left's embrace of the nonsense they believe? So, media's epic fail on the Steele dossier. I mean, you could look at all the things. Washington Post won't publish full Trump response. I mean, you could look at. I mean, media is in the tank. The fact check. Russia investigation. Factcheck.org. They never fact check themselves. So you gotta look, and it's right here. Being able to provide evidence of anything that shows an attempt to behave badly would the VIPs would be very happy. They're looking for a true story that could be used as the basis for closer examination. They were looking to fabricate or find anything with a kernel of truth to utilize against Trump. That's all. That's all they were trying to do. That's what they were trying to do. Regarding the Russia Bank One allegations that he had provided Sussman, Tech Executive One email stated the prior hypothesis was all that they needed. The mail server dedicated and traffic almost exclusively. So, was sufficient to do the job. Trump has claimed he and his companies had no dealings. Okay, so there you go. And like I said, Bill Clinton met with Putin at his home. That's according to The Hill. Later in the email, Tech Executive One expressed his own belief that the TrumpEmail.com domain was not a secret communication channel with Russia Make, but a red herring, noting The host for the domain is a legitimate, valid company. And so you have all of this information showing they just were desperately trying to set up Trump. Then you have Sussman provided FBI General Counsel with 2 thumb drives and hard copy papers which contained which were contained and were compromised with the following. A report that Sussman had assisted in drafting entitled White Paper 1, and so a paper drafted by Researcher 2, comments, time series of analysis, and the information paper drafted by the U.S. investigative firm regarding Russian Bank 1 and its parent company. 8 files containing Russia Bank. Hold on one second. Containing Russia Bank data. Immediately after the information September 19, 2016 meeting, the FBI General Counsel spoke with the Assistant Director of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division. During the conversation, General Counsel conveyed the substance of his meeting with Sussman. The Assistant Director took contemporaneous handwritten notes which reflect, in substance, stated, Sussman said not doing this for any client. I mean, it's right there. Sussman billed his meeting with the with the general counsel to the Clinton campaign. That's where the racket is. That's where the racket is. The racket is the racket is all the money that they get in donations and all the people they pay to do their dirty work. It's very lucrative. Lord knows how much money that law firm got that purchased the Steele dossier. Lord knows. Nina, thank you. Lord knows how much money. So, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. And let's see here. On page 20, Sussman's statement to the FBI General Counsel that he was not acting on behalf of any client was knowingly and intentionally false. In truth and in fact, as Sussman well knew, Sussman acted on behalf and in coordination with 2 specific clients, law firm and tech executive 1 and the Clinton campaign, in assembling and conveying these allegations. So this is hilarious. Of course the Bureau knew, of course the FBI knew, but they want to claim that they were completely duped. They don't want, and that's how the Durham probe is working. That's how the Durham probe is working. What they're doing right now, what he's doing, Durham, is he's trying to say, okay, Bureau, prove that you weren't in the tank for the Democratic Party, so you can pretend that you really, were duped by this attorney working for Clinton. Even though, like, what's Sussman's defense? Oh, well, of course the FBI knew what I was doing. They were in on it. That's my point. That's always been the point here. What on earth is this man's defense? What on earth is this man's defense? Well, of course they knew. Yeah, James Comey's top legal counsel, of course he knew. I mean, what is his defense? What is Sussman's defense? What could Sussman's defense possibly be? What on earth could Sussman's defense possibly be? Like that, like that, what? That, well, It's true I was getting paid by Clinton, and it's true that I was trying to find derogatory information to set up and frame Trump. But the notion that I lied about it, that's absurd. Why would I lie about it when they were all in on it? That's the whole point here. His defense is, of course, and he's right. He's right. I mean, Sussman is right. He's actually his defense, but that's the point. His defense makes the FBI look bad. And so the Bureau will push back then. In particular, also alleged above tech executive one consultant and relied on Sussman and his lawyer to assist in disseminating the Russia Bank allegations. Moreover, all or nearly all of Sussman's recorded time and work relating to the Russia Bank allegations prior to the meeting were billed to the Clinton campaign. Indeed, as Sussman concealed and failed to disclose, Sussman had spent time drafting one of the white papers he provided to the FBI General Counsel and billed that time to the Clinton campaign. In addition, and as alleged in further detail, Sussman testified under oath before Congress in 2017, that he in fact conveyed the Russia Bank allegations to the FBI on behalf of my client. So there you go. Someone's lying under oath. I mean, he's going to indict a lot more people. A lot more people. This is just the first inning, people. This is just the first inning. He's going to indict a lot of people. And who knows? Maybe there's a faction within the Democratic Party that will want Clinton indicted. Who knows? I wouldn't want to be that faction, but who knows? Clinton probably knows that they have adversaries within the Democratic Party. Because if Clinton decides, and I believe she's going to run again, but if she decides to run again, nothing will stop her. Nothing within the Democratic Party will stop her because they still run. They still run the Democratic Party. So, but the hilarious thing is that, I mean, it says right here, this is the hilarious thing, people. In addition, and as alleged in further detail, Sussman testified under oath before Congress in 2017 that he, in fact, conveyed the allegations to the General Counsel on behalf of my client. It's right there. Paragraph 31. It's right there. I mean, if you read the indictment of Michael Sussman, you really get a good picture of how they tried to set up and frame Trump with the Steele dossier, with Alpha Bank, with everything. I mean, how they were able to obtain a special counsel, that will always be the most corrupt, unethical, decision, one of the most in American history. A president fires an FBI director, and media claims he's doing so because he's being investigated. The investigation was started on faulty, planted information, not even evidence, like fabricated evidence, and media working in conjunction with political operatives. So then they say, oh, well, he can't fire Comey. Comey's investigating him. Well, investigating him on what? The Steele dossier, Alpha Bank, Clapper and Brennan's accusations? They're all baseless. They're all high to moderate confidence. You have no evidence that Trump did any of those things, and he didn't. So then Comey writes a memo. His memos are leaked about a meeting with Trump. And because they have a meeting with Trump, a meeting that caused a special counsel. And Sessions, the worst attorney general of all time, Sessions, his own attorney general, recuses himself. His own attorney general recuses himself. So it's like his own attorney general recuses himself. And oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, trust me. Trust me. I'm Jeff Sessions, the worst attorney general of all time. If you're on an AOL chat room, just make sure to trust me. The worst attorney general of all time. Do you understand? Orange Grove 55. Oh, yes, Hillary 2024. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do satisfied. Do it. Durham is taking so long because he has zero media support and he still has a Republican Party that, Mitch McConnell is Mitch McConnell. My job is to make sure that the Durham Pro Special Counsel takes forever. Because I have one foot with traditional establishment Republicans and another foot with Trump. And my job is to make sure that nothing happens. Maybe to obstruct Democrats. That's about it. So you still have, it's taking so long because you have people like Mitch McConnell. I like Kevin McCarthy, but you need Jim Jordan or Devin Nunes as House Speaker. I mean, you need Jim Jordan or Devin Nunes. You need Jim Jordan or Devin Nunes. You need somebody. You need somebody. Um, you need somebody to love. That's what you need. No. You need somebody where am I? Where am I? You need somebody like Jim Jordan, okay? You need somebody like Jim Jordan. And it's somebody who won't be afraid, because like Nancy Pelosi, she's always 100% she's awesome. I mean, hold on. You have getting back to you have CMW and Michigan Grandma and everybody here. You have Nancy Pelosi. Okay, let's look at Nancy. Eric, you've asked me for this a long. You said, HA, just go, and I want to see Nancy Pelosi and Clinton, and so Nancy Pelosi. JG, here you go if you're watching. Nancy Pelosi. Beautiful and intelligent and smart and wonderful, honest. Let's see. Nancy Pelosi is a loyal Democrat, and there's no loyal Trump Republican. There's no loyal Trump. There's no Trump Republican as Senate Minority Leader Now, Kevin McCarthy is good, but you need Jim Jordan, you need Devin Nunes. You need Kash Patel as like a top position in the Republican Party. You need to have June. I know that this is important. Exactly. Steppenwolf, thank you. You need to have the equivalent of Nancy. You need to have the equivalent of Nancy Pelosi. You gotta have the equivalent of Nancy Pelosi. And you don't have that. This is the thing. Like, Trump has never had anybody backing him. His own attorney general. Listen to who he had. Listen to who Donald Trump had. Okay, check this out. Listen to who he had. Okay? He had, my God, he had Paul Ryan, of all people. Paul Ryan, June. Hello. You get the humor. I love it. You get Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. When Paul Ryan was working out with those weights. Sparky! Kevin's a Ryan clone. It's somewhat. Oh, let's look at Paul Ryan. Let's look at Paul Ryan. And he is just so... he should start a workout channel. This is who was defending Trump. Lord, are you serious? This is what Trump had to work with. Okay? Oh my God, look at those biceps. Those bulging muscles. It makes Mitch McConnell just perspire looking at such an exquisite physique. I wish one day I could be as fit and strong as Paul Ryan. I'm going to build a gym in Kentucky and work out. I need to work on my neck. This is who was defending Trump. Paul Ryan, who, of course, he wasn't defending Trump. He was just going after Trump. That's the thing. You have these people. You have this the person going after Clinton and Democrats. Do you understand? Do you understand? Bill, hello. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Do you understand? Do you understand what he's working with? I'm trying to explain. You understand why Trump is so frustrated all the time? The man is frustrated all the time. Or, feels, obviously betrayed. And he's betrayed because, you could see what's going on. You could see what's going on. You have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where Paul Ryan lifting weights. That's what the Republican Party used to be. That's how they were treated when they were the good Republicans. Could you imagine if Donald Trump Jr. or Trump himself was lifting weights? Okay? This is who was defending. Look, you got Nancy Pelosi, who's like the equivalent of Vladimir Putin compared to mashed potato brains with Paul Ryan. But here you have Mitch McConnell. This is who is defending the country from Democrats. Okay? Mitch McConnell. Uh Hardy har har. I love a good laugh. This is the man. Hold on. I love Mitch McConnell. I love you. I have a little surprise for everybody. I can't tell you what the surprise is. Oh, but if only Trump knew. I have a dossier again, another new dossier. So funny. I won't let Trump know until he's he's the 47th, and then I'll spring it on him, and I'll say, "Oh, Mr. President, I totally was against this. Well, there's a dossier that I found, and it said that you had relations in Area 51 with an extraterrestrial. You had relations, it says, with an extraterrestrial, and guess what? The FBI director is investigating. Well, sorry, I'm trying to help. I've relayed it to Kevin McCarthy. Hopefully, we can stop this investigation. Well, you'll have to make sure that I become the Senate Majority Leader. So, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Okay? So, basically, this is who. This is this is who is defending the Republicans from Democrats and all of media. This man and this man. Okay? This man and this man's no longer, but you see the mentality. Ted Cruz is one part Paul Ryan and one part Rand Paul. Sometimes Ted Cruz, like when Ted Cruz grilled that FBI official, that was interesting. Thank you. Mormon, thank you. That was interesting. Okay. EG, thank you. But it's like you're dealing with all of media and a Democratic Party that can't be, that simply can't be that can't be defeated without Trump Republicans like Rand Paul. If you want to say he's a Trump Republican, Rand Paul, Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes, and there's like 5 or 6 or 7 others. Now, you have to watch out with the gazpacho police. Okay? You can't have the gazpacho police. Love gazpacho. Tasty. Tasty. So tasty. Who doesn't like gazpacho? It's refreshing. It's healthy. Oh man, you can dip um, the bread in the gazpacho. So good, so good. Hard to find really good gazpacho. But you don't want gazpacho police! Okay? Do you understand there could be nuclear annihilation, a stock market crash? You could be devoured into a gigantic cavern, or the earth could split in two. Your car could be descending into the center of the earth. And the only thing you'd hear is, at least we don't have to hear about Marjorie's gazpacho police or Trump tweeting. You don't give them a layup. Don't put the ball on the 1 yard line. Yes, you don't need to. Okay? You don't need to. You don't need to put the ball on the. See, okay, so here, gazpacho police. It's not good. You don't need that. Marjorie Taylor Greene warns of Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police. It's not. It's like, I get it, but see, again, was it that hard? It's not a difficult word to pronounce. It's not that hard. I mean, it's like Nancy Pelosi, with all her problems, won't say gazpacho police. It's not that hard. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Is this mic on? Maybe I'm talking to myself. It doesn't do anyone any good. All it does is make me hungry. And Eric does his own, makes his, grows his own food. You can make gazpacho, and my God, you could probably add more than just tomato. Although I think tomato. Can you make gazpacho with other vegetables? Let's see. Can you make with other veggies? Oh my God, look at this. Very veggie gazpacho. Oh my God. Fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, red onions, and garlic. Oh, yes. Is gazpacho always tomato based? Tomato based. Okay. It's often served heated, so it's tomato soup then. How can I improve my gazpacho? Sprinkled toasted seeds. Mmm. Nice. I mean, are you not hungry now? Nice. Cheryl, and midterms will be amazing. No, it's not. It's not. We just, you know what? Look, if you have somebody who fights on your side, let's say you have a football player that is really, like, tries his best, but he's fumbling. Well, sorry, I don't care how I don't care if you try your best, you're not going to get the ball. You can't fumble. You can't fumble. Can't fumble. Because if you start fumbling, then you get this. Then you get this. So, I mean, you don't want this. CMW, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody here. CMW, Michigan Grandma, thank you so very, very much for an amazing live stream. Everyone, to my super chat, thank you. I'll be back with an upload in about an hour, so be here. And people, thank you so very much. Hit subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends about this channel. People, tell your friends. If you want to support my work, one of the best things you could do is just tell your friends about this channel. And I'll be back in 1 hour for the live stream. Thanks, everybody. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you so very, very much.